Alrighty, so we have my first ever road race. This is the Branchbrook Park Crit Series in Newark, New Jersey, and this is the first time I've raced on the road. So we have the Cat 4-5 field here, and it is a cold morning. I almost didn't race this because you can see everybody bundled up. It was in the mid 20s, and was raining off and on the day before coming into this, and it was just miserably cold. I gotta say, it's probably one of the coldest races I've ever done, and that includes racing cyclocross in the fall and winter. It was freezing. So, did get to the race. Didn't really do much of a warm up because I was just being a little bit of a weenie and sat in my car staying warm. So didn't really know what to expect, and as you can see, it's a pretty big field. I think we had 44 riders, and I'm hanging out to the back, mostly because it's my first race ever, and I didn't feel comfortable at all riding in a group. So, as you can see, I'm off the back already, and not really getting much of a draft at all. So, I think it just really came down to just not feeling comfortable riding in a group, not feeling like I wanted to get it in the main pack and mix things up. So really my only goal is to not cause a crash. So you'll see that I stay pretty far back in the field. But it's a pretty fast course. At least it felt fast for me, being my first race. And it wasn't very technical, which is why I had chosen it as my first race. It was really only one technical part, and looking back, it really wasn't even that technical, but everybody slowed down coming into this turn coming up, and it was really the only part that you had to even touch your brakes, and you probably didn't even need to, or probably shouldn't have needed to brake at all, but it ended up slowing down and then accelerating out of the turn. So we're coming up to the turn now, and I start coasting, as you can see, and I'm just coasting, and I end up coming up on the back of the group. As you can see, that it just kind of bunches up, and then you end up having to put out a big effort to stay with the group. And that's pretty much how every lap went, including the final lap, which you'll see coming up. I don't really have footage of the entire race. We'll see why later. But last lap, I tried to position myself in an okay spot and ended up putting out a little over 1,000 watts out of that turn, and really didn't have much to contest the finish. But coming up here in the back stretch, and the wind is coming, it's like a cross headwind, pretty strong, coming from our left. It was coming kind of from the northwest to the southeast. So we're still a little shielded from the wind, although the trees don't offer much in the terms of shielding us. But once we get out here coming up, the wind just kind of slams you from the left, and it was pretty brutal. I'm not really used to one wind like that, and so again, I'm just trying to stay comfortable, try to kind of ease myself into road riding and getting comfortable riding in a pack like this. Again, I really just wanted to make sure I didn't cause a crash and stayed safe. So in that sense, I achieved my goal. There was a crash in this race, I don't think I catch it on camera. It was up near the front, which kind of just reaffirmed my thoughts of kind of staying near the back and staying safe. But I definitely do a lot more work than I probably needed to because I'm not really getting any kind of draft. But I'm hoping that as I get more comfortable racing, that it'll be a skill that I can acquire. So I don't have footage for the entire race, so you don't really get to see the finish at all. So it was a 45-minute race, and like I said, we had I think 44 riders, and really put out a lot of energy coming out of that last turn. Didn't position myself very well, again, because I didn't feel comfortable kind of getting near the front, near all the action. Um, but I was able to get 11th place in, I guess, what you would call a bunch sprint. It was really not a huge group. I don't know how you classify it, but there wasn't a breakaway. I think it was pretty much all a group until the final lap, and then a sprint at the end. And I did take 11th, which I was really happy with. This was, again, my first race, and I didn't really have too many goals going into it as far as placing. I really just wanted to stay safe, learn some skills, and kind of just test the waters and see how I like racing. And I had raced cyclocross the season before and had a lot of fun. So I really just wanted to kind of see how the road racing would go, and I'm hoping that I'm able to race some more and pick up some skills as far as riding in a bunch, work on my drafting skills, and hopefully work on my turning skills. As you see, not really the greatest turn there as far as conserving momentum. I end up having to put in a little effort coming out of the turn, and I think I really need to work on doing that better. So coming into the finish line for the second lap, and I believe this is a little bit after the cross the finish line this time, is when the GoPro cuts out. I think this guy's trying to pull off his foot warmer, so that's great that I'm right by him. And I don't know what I'm actually thinking. I can't remember. I do remember thinking, oh, I'll just try to get on this guy and get him to pull me up, and all of a sudden I'm at the front of the race, which is not exactly where I wanted to be, but here I am. And I think at least when it's single file like this, I did feel, especially if I'm off to the right side, I really was trying to keep myself have an out, as far as if something were to happen, I could pull out to the side. And but I mean, as you can see, like, I'm really not getting any kind of draft. I'm off to the side of everybody, and as you can see from that, I end up getting boxed in a little bit there, and not something that I wanted to do. But I guess sometimes you got to get put into situations that make you learn, and that's kind of what this whole race was meant to be for me. So we're coming into the start finish line, and it's soon after that I lose my GoPro. And this wasn't a technical difficulty. This was, I guess you can say, typical Cat 5 newbie mistake. Apparently, I did not check all my bolts, or at least I did on my bike, but on the GoPro, I did not make sure that it was fully tightened down. And coming up, you'll see the mount just falls off. And say goodbye to Mr. GoPro. So, one of the life lessons, I guess,